Hi, Rowena. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Hello.
Hey, can you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your involvement with the creative arts?
Okay. Hi, I'm Rowena Sommerville. I've worked in the arts essentially all my life. Although I'm a Southerner originally, I've lived in the North for a very long time now. And I've worked in the arts on Teesside. I think I started working there in 1999. And I did two things really. I worked for Tees Valley Arts, which was called Cleveland Arts then, initially on an arts and disability program. And I also worked rather more lucratively for Creative Partnerships, which was a scheme then to put artists into school, sponsored by Arts Council. And I was very lucky. I worked with a particular one school in Darlington a day a week for about 4 years, which is, you know, gold dust if you're a freelance. And another school in Darlington for 2 years, I think. Predominantly working with the kids on creative writing, but also a bit on visual arts. My own arts practice has been essentially as a writer and as an illustrator. I've also worked in textiles a bit and knitwear design, things like that. And despite the cough I suddenly have, I write for and sing with an a cappella band called Henwen, which has been going, it does feel rather like since the dawn of time. And obviously it's not going at all at the moment, thanks to COVID. Yeah, singing, well, all over the country actually, with Henwen, but that's the sort of stuff I get up to. I became the chief exec of Tees Valley Arts in about 2008, and I ran it then till 2017 when I essentially retired. But since then I've worked freelance again. I've worked for Festival of Thrift on events and things. And I also work as a writer and an illustrator still freelance when I can, you know, get the work.
Wow, well, that's all singing, all dancing.
It's quite a lot of stuff, yes.
All embracing, brilliant. I love the quote from Robert Heinlein, specialization is for insects. Definitely no worms here. So yeah, terrific. So you say that it's always been a big part of your life. How come were you born into a creative family, or is it?
No, I wasn't born into a creative family at all. But I was one of those kids who just drew over everything. You know, I read everything like everybody says, you know, the back of the cornflakes packet, I did that. And I drew on everything, including, you know, my science and maths and all of that stuff as well. And I went to art school rather at the dawn of time. And I did a degree in graphics originally, specializing in illustration. But when I left, I think it's a bit better these days, but when I left, I didn't have the slightest clue in the world as to how to actually earn a living. And I didn't have a family that had any connections or anything useful at all. So for some years, the kind of artwork was always there, but it was in the background because I had to earn a living. And I worked in psychiatric settings. I worked with young people with all kinds of life issues. I work with adults with learning difficulties, all of which I don't actually regret at all, because it's an education in life, and you can't beat that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did your parents think about you deciding to be an artist?
Well, they thought it was simply terrible. I was kind of the generation across me and my cousins, we were the first, generally speaking, to be going to, higher education, which my parents were very keen that I should do, but obviously art school was not at all what they had in mind. And my mum used to always remind me that if I went to work for Marks and Spencer's, you used to get your hair done for free. So that was, like, what more could you do? And I think they found it weird and, unsatisfactory. And how was I ever going to earn a living? Which, of course, as I say, I didn't do for a bit. When a bit later on, I wrote and illustrated children's books, and I had my own books published by Random House, which is a mainstream publisher and stuff. They were very proud, of course, and I think they sort of secretly, well, my mum certainly secretly liked the fact that I looked weird and did weird things, but there wasn't really family encouragement, I'd have to say.
Yeah, it's been great to see over these interviews, people are kind of like our generation, like the older generations.
Yes, being kind there, Lisa.
Well, I mean, certainly I exactly the same, that I was like, like there was no way that I was going to go and do the art subjects, like do the sensible subjects, like, accountancy and that kind of thing. And who had just been told, no, you can't do that, and have over the decades clawed our way back in, or had the courage of conviction like you've had to say, no, I'm actually doing this. But it's been really heartening to see that people from the younger generations have been told to go and fulfill their hopes and dreams. Sons and daughters of like steel workers and coal miners and factory workers, perhaps because they gave up everything with the idea that they would be supported and have income, and and that was taken away from them. So why not go into the arts?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, in my day, you got a grant. I mean, imagine, and it was enough to live on, provided you kind of worked in the summer or something, which is what I always did, and you just expected to do that, was part of it. And I still can't believe what people pay. I'm not talking about private education, I'm talking about, university education. I think it's an absolute act of bad faith to not educate people for free. I mean, wealthy country, that's how it should be. I think it's very poor that people have, my own kids have a bit of debt. My sons are around 40 now, so they had a bit of debt. They were at the beginning of student loan, and they're still kind of, on the run from it. But now it's just ridiculous sums of money, and it's bound to be a a class divide and a very unequal. Some people, their parents can just pay that. They've paid that for their school education. It's 20 grand a year is nothing. It's what you pay for your kid to go to some private schools, and it can only hold back kids from poorer backgrounds. I'm completely opposed to it.
Yeah, completely agree with you. But I kind of think in the funding, because I a recovering mother, went to university in 2013, and I did my BA and then my MA. So I'm 50 grand or so in debt. Which is fine for me, because I kind of think, I'll probably die before I pay it off. I've just accepted that will be hanging over my head for the rest of my life, which is fine at my age. But for a young 18-year-old working class person to to live their whole lives with that burden.
Absolutely. And you talk about leveling up, and then you look at let's not go off on this, it's just utterly depressing, but you just look at housing as well, housing and education for, let alone obviously now COVID to, finish us all. But I feel very sorry for younger people now. I think they're not getting the opportunities that I had, and that's no way for the world to turn.
No, absolutely. So getting back to the art, why really? Why this pressing need to be involved in the arts? What does it do? What's it for you personally and for society as
Okay, yeah. So hard questions to answer, aren't they? For me personally, like I say, I always drew, and I loved reading storybooks and stuff. So that engagement with the imagination was there before I knew it was anything like that going on, you know. And I guess that urge to create, everybody has it to some extent. With some of us, it's just a bit kind of unavoidable. And I suppose it reinforces my sense of myself as a person, expressing myself, celebrating, you know, the world, celebrating the natural world very often is something I like to do. I like to actually perform. I like to go out and sing. It doesn't mean I don't get nervous, but I feel it is a gift. I don't mean like I've got this great gift and I must share it, but I almost do. I almost mean that. People don't have to listen, but if they choose to and they enjoy it, I mean, what could be better? What could be a lovelier thing? Looking at the broader thing of what does it do for society? Well, just putting aside all the absolutely practical things, you know, designers, film, television, all that stuff, which is huge, architecture, how we live. I think that any vision of what it is to be human that does not contain self-expression and community expression and shared expression is a diminished version of what a human being can be. And I don't want to get all kind of sentimental about the Pitman painters and that kind of stuff, but working at Tees Valley Arts, the whole thing was about working with members of the public, and very often members of the public facing all sorts of challenges, refugees, kids in care, young offenders, people with drug issues, you know, blah, blah, blah. Just the uplift, the positivity that is gained, the resilience that's actually developed in people through just exploring what they can do, what other people can do, what you can do together, having a great time. You know, everything from getting people to write their own stuff, make their own films, write their own songs, to for some years we had money from Northern Rock Foundation and put on World Fest, you know, bringing different performers in, performers that don't normally come to Teesside or not very often, and also celebrating diversity in the actual communities of Teesside. That was a very fantastic experience as well.
Terrific. So I suppose we're going to have to do the kind of lockdown question. How has it been? Have you managed to carry on being creative? How's it affected?
It's been a great mix. All of the kind of project work that I would pick up occasionally, you know, I don't want to work a huge amount on that now, but I do enjoy running projects and making them work and all of that. That obviously stopped completely. Also, my, you know, relatively meager pensions are just that bit more than what I'd earned freelance. So I haven't qualified, you know, my income's almost halved. I haven't qualified for any of the support. I mean, I'm not dying in a ditch, but you know, it's not great. So that's been like that. In terms of singing with Henwen, that's all completely stopped. And currently, you know, we can't even practice together. We practice on Zoom, and you know, wonderful as Zoom is, you can't really sing on it. You can't all sing together. It doesn't work. So, and there is no platform that allows you to actually sing together live. We have discovered. So that's very miserable. In terms of my own creativity, I've found it good for the more sort of craft-based things, like bits of sewing, bits of knitting, bits of review. I do some poetry reviewing. That's not exactly craft, but you know, it's not me creating. I have found my own creativity more lacking, to be honest. There's something about not having aims to go for somehow that has been, it's not so much depressing as sort of a bit deflating, I think. But I've just started work now on a project. Takes a bit of explaining. There's a setup called Frozen Ark, and Frozen Ark is a DNA, cryogenically frozen DNA bank in Cardiff and Nottingham universities that works with, it stores the DNA of endangered species to assist research and breeding programs and all of that. And through roundabout routes, I've got to know them a bit. And so has another artist, Paul Evans, who's a Sheffield artist. He and I have never yet met in the flesh, but together we went for some money to Arts Council and were successful, thank you, to create a virtual arc. So we're working to generate some work ourselves about endangered species, and we will be hoping to offer some workshops to help other people write and draw about them, though that's all going to have to be done remotely. But that's, you know, it's something that's close to my heart, it's something I care about, and it's getting me back into actually creating original work myself. So that's being a bit of an uplift. That's only just happened. We got the money just before Christmas, so we're just starting creativity on that. So that's a really nice thing.
Awesome, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great project. Well, it's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you, and you too.
Strange way to meet somebody, but
it is.
But you know, it's keeping me sane. It's kind of weird to be.
So, what will happen with all the interviews and little films, Lisa? What will happen?
So these interviews just go up as they are on a YouTube channel, and they're all transcribed by Otter, but with the local accents and everything. It takes a lot of editing, so I'm going to be spending the rest of my life editing transcripts, I think, so that it's all fully subtitled. So they'll just go up as they are on the YouTube channel, and then be edited together into an Arts Council film.
Fantastic. And are you primarily a writer yourself?
I guess so, yeah. I'm a playwright.
Are you?
I never expected, when I did my MA, that was the last thing I expected to happen. But I, as you learn with these transcripts, once you realise that people never speak in full sentences, dialogue seems to kind of happen. I just, I've given up ever wanting to write a novel. I'm a performance poet. I do kind of comedy erotica.
See you out there. I've got a poetry collection for adults, not for kids. It will be my first one for adults, coming out. Well, I hope it's coming out later this year with Mudfog. It was going to come out last year, but there just didn't seem any point at all in bringing it out. I kind of felt when you couldn't have any events and you couldn't promote it, you couldn't go out and read the poems and all of that. I'm hoping at some point this year, you know, we will press on with it, because I just hope there will be live events. So see you at one. We should do one together. It would be great.
Well, what I really want to do, which I think would be terrific, is to do you know the Auxiliary in Middlesbrough?
Oh, well, I know of it, yeah.
So to have a all day, all night event there with all of the 250 people involved in the interview.
Fantastic.
So we start off in the morning with kind of workshops and seminars, and then leading into performance, and then sort of upping the temperature until like an absolute banging party. I don't know if you remember the Hitman and Her, but my intention is to kind of recreate that. So at the end of the night, it's just like a room full of clubbing people with a microphone going around talking to lots of people having the time of their lives. So.
That sounds absolutely brilliant. Well done, you. Good.
Yeah, and you know, and if it goes well, then it will be hopefully the first of many, that kind of thing.
That's terrific. It's important to be ambitious, isn't it? We have to have hope beyond the current, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure I'll get knocked back again, you know, who knows, but I'm going to trust the faith from now on.
Brilliant.
All right, really great to talk to you, and I look forward to raising.
And you, thank you. Thank you. It's a real pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, it's been a joy.